All right. So I think we are live. I'm going to double check on the Facebook page here or the group. Refresh that. Okay, looks like we are finally live. I
Woohoo!
apologize for anybody who's been waiting. We had some incredible technical difficulties, and we finally just figured it out. So we won't keep you waiting any longer. So I am here today with Amanda Lee Sparks Hat. I almost said hot. And she is an energy mindset coach, and we're going to talk about intuition today. So, Amanda Lee, do you want to get started by telling us a little bit about yourself and what you do?
Sure, yeah. My story starts when I was a kid. I could see colors and angels and things. And then I went to grade one, and some kid said something like, "That's weird, and you're weird." And I didn't want to be weird.
Of course
So
not.
I shut everything off. And then in my late 20s, I was living on what on the outside looked like a really good life. Nice house, car, job, boyfriend, all that. But I
Mm-hmm.
had a in feeling deeply unfulfilled feeling. And then I found a book on Reiki and was like, oh my God, I gotta learn this. So within 2 weeks of that, I was in a Reiki level one class. And this was my kind of springboard back in spirituality. I went all the way through and was a Reiki master in just over a year. Discovered that this is my passion, and over years discovered also it's an area of superpowers for me. I do this kind of stuff like breathing, energy healing, intuition, non-physical communication stuff. Like it's like I am fascinated by it, and I'm really pretty good at it. I took a bunch more modalities. I read I read the library out of books on these topics, and reading stories of people who'd done similar things. I went to a bunch of meetups, and then I eventually decided that this is what I wanted to do, and I jumped in to be in my own business with it. So I love what I do so much. I love helping people connect with who they really are.
Yeah, that's so amazing. That's so very, very incredible. That's a really awesome story to have too. It's just kind of like having shut it off at the beginning of your life because it was something that other people don't understand. And then later on in your life, coming back to it and being like, wow, like this is so cool. This is my passion. This is what I love. And then doing something with it and making that into your business and how you help others. And that's really, really, really awesome. Okay, so like I mentioned before, we're going to be talking about intuition today. So do you want to kind of start us off there, talk about maybe why it's important to be following your intuition?
Sure, yes. Okay. So, big picture wise, what intuition really is information coming to us from our teams of guides. I just like to call them our teams because when you say guides, people tend to think they have one or two. But it's really much more like it's a fairly old commercial now, but it was like some kind of telephone network commercial, and there was one guy, and behind him was all these other guys who were part of his network. That's the
Uh-huh.
kind of image of our teams and the help and the support that we have non-physically around us.
Mm-hmm.
And what's really cool about this is they have a higher perspective in that they can see a little further down the road than we can. They know what we want, they know where it is, and they know how to get us there the best way. So what intuition is the information coming from our teams in little kind of nudges and sometimes signs and numbers and feathers and whatever. Everyone's a little bit different
Mm-hmm.
to help get us to where we want to be. The thing is, we're choosing that, and they're just guiding us to it, and we can change what we want to do as well. It's kind of
Mm-hmm.
like if you're in a big metropolis like in New York City or something where there's lots of buildings and you can't see very far ahead, but you have a radio to someone who's in a helicopter above you. They can say, "Hey, they know that there's some construction, so let's take this road instead." That's the kind of idea behind it. And they're
Awesome.
also not judging us. They're in a very kind of high vibration. They don't on one level really care if we get what we want. They want us to get what we want, but if we don't get it, they're not like, oh, they didn't listen, they're sad or whatever, right? They're just like, oh well, they didn't get it, here's the next message.
Right. Very
So
cool. So I know for a lot of us, especially myself, following my intuition or like noticing when it's actually coming to me as intuition, instead of just like a personal thought that I have,
mm-hmm.
isn't always super easy.
That is the big key because everybody is intuitive. It's kind of a hardwired into it. You got a human body, you got intuition kind of a thing, right?
Yeah.
um, And it's always, always, always the first thing. But within split seconds, our kind of more logical left brain will jump on and be like, meh, you don't want to do that. You want to do this instead, which we're more used to paying attention. And they don't call them subtle senses for no reason. These are subtle. And most of the time, what takes the longest is building up the trust of your intuition. Because when we ask, it's always, always answered, but sometimes we just don't hear it.
Sure.
So this can be because we don't know how the easiest way we receive this information. And sometimes it's just like we are just so caught up in our own thought memes and mind stuff that we miss it.
Right.
So usually when you get something and you kind of have a thought, you're like, oh, I should do this. I'm like, I don't want to do that right now. I'm tired. And then later you're like, oh, shit, I totally should have done that.
Yeah.
And then what you want to do is go back into the memory and say, how did it feel when, like, what was the feeling state of when I got that you should do this type of feeling? And start watching for that, because it takes a bunch of missing it before you go, oh yeah, and then you start to like really start to notice more.
Oh, I love that. So just kind of noticing the feeling that you get when you miss the intuitions.
Yeah.
And then start to notice that, and that's when you can start to figure out when you're getting the intuition.
Yeah. The other thing that really helps to build your intuitive connection is to know kind of they call it the primary clair. And the clairs are just a fancy word for the clear senses. It's like clairvoyance, claircognizance, clairsentience, and clairaudience. So it's clear hearing, seeing, feeling, and knowing. Mm-hmm. And we all have all of them. And there's a few more as well, but these are the main four. And the primary one always fires first, and then the others come online. So if you know that you're a clairsentient, a clear feeler, you start to watch more for those kind of gut feelings. And sentience is a strong one for a lot of people who don't have their intuition super open.
Sure.
Because everyone's had that, like, you walk into a room, you're like, oh, what happened in here? Oh, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Very cool. So for a lot of us, it's probably going to be like a gut feeling, unless you're very, unless you kind of know what you are spiritually.
Yeah,
right.
And it's pretty easy to find out what your primary clair is. And also sometimes it's important to know your primary can be blocked. So then a secondary becomes your primary until you unblock that one.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, I'm primary visual. Oh, just got a notification. Go away. Okay, so this was hard for me to trust at first because it was really, it's all kind of in your mind, on the screen of your mind. And visual is one of the hardest ones to trust because also you end up with metaphors and things. You're like, is this a literal thing or is this a metaphorical thing?
Literal or metaphorical?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Jennifer Lee says, I always ask for the answer to come to me in a clear way that I understand.
Yes, that is awesome. Because the thing to know with the teams is, the teams of guides, is they're really great friends. And it's not like they're above us. They just don't have a physical body. They want what we want for ourselves. So if you don't get it, tell them, like, I don't get this. Can you make it a little more clear? Like, hello, please, some help. I want some.
I actually do that all the time too. I'm like, I need help with this, but you're going to have to give it to me in a way that you know I'm going to recognize it, because otherwise I will just bypass it and completely not notice what you were giving me. It won't work out. So just be very clear. I do that too. So this is something that we can use in our business and in our personal lives. Do you have any like tips or steps that we can go about using it?
Yes. It is really helpful if you have a specific thing you're wanting to achieve, get to, or whatever. But if you don't happen to have that, go for what it feels like. So if you don't yet kind of know maybe how many ideal clients you want, but you can create a picture of what it feels like when you have the perfect amount of ideal clients in your week or in your day, what that feels like. It's the kind of like, I think you're in the States. So if you're in the middle of the US in a landlocked thing and you have an idea like, oh, I really want to like go see the Pacific Ocean, and you have my feet in the Pacific Ocean. This gives you a direction to head towards. So that's what the feeling state of kind of going for what you're wanting helps you with. Same type of metaphor.
So like visualizations and then feeling, like the feelings of visualizing things you want to happen.
And the feeling is the really important part. Yes.
Okay.
because knowing what it feels like when you get that happening really sends out the strong vibrations to make the manifestation happen more quickly.
Okay.
And then you get intuitive nudges. I call them nudges. Some people call them hits. I used to call them hits. But when it's really strong, I feel like someone's just kind of like nudging on my shoulder, like, hey, pay attention. I'm like, oh, what? Okay, sure, yes.
Okay. So basically visualize and feel the feelings of having that thing being achieved, and then listen for the nudges, because they're going to send them your way so that you can get there. Yeah. Achieve the thing that you want to achieve, or be at the place you want to be in, or whatever it is.
Definitely. And the nudges are kind of like using a GPS to get somewhere, where once you've got the GPS, like I know that, and you've said start on the phone on the GPS stuff on Google Maps and stuff, it only gives you the next step. So like in 500 meters, take this right turn, right? Or whatever it is. Sure. And once you take that turn, then you get the next step. Guidance is the same way, and it's really annoying to most of us humans. We want to know the whole plan. Yeah. We only get the next step, and once you've done the next step, you get step after that. And it'll always be a continuous journey. You always get the next step, but you're generally not much more than that.
Awesome. So they don't give you more than what you can handle.
Nope, they really don't, because the picture's too big sometimes. And if we knew the whole picture, we'd be like, no, it's too scary. I can't handle it. But if you take the time to walk the path of it, it unfolds and you grow and you unfold and it unfolds and you grow again. And it works very well.
Awesome. I love that.
The thing too is if you miss a step, it's the same as the GPS. It just starts recalculating. Oh, you missed that turn? Well, there's another one. It's okay.
Oh, that's good to know. So you can't really screw up, because they'll rewrote you.
Totally.
Very cool.
And they're not judging it. Oh my God, you missed that turn, type of thing. Right? They're just like, oh, you missed a turn. Anger. Here's the next.
Very cool. So do you have any other tidbits or extras you'd like to share with us about intuition?
Yeah, when you're really starting to develop it, the practice, so not only missing it and then going, oh, I totally knew that, practicing it is the key, because you want to get some feedback from people. The easiest way to do this, kind of most time-honored way, is to do card readings, because it's an easy tool. Some people like pendulums. There's a bunch of tools you can use, but it's all kind of rebuilding that intuition. So what worked well for me when I was developing mine back open is I found a meetup practice group of let's just practice intuition stuff. So we would go and do little card readings for everybody, with the idea being you would give constructive feedback at the end of the short reading, like just a 3-card kind of reading. Because the cards are great because they help you with getting out of your head, and then there's something to look at. So you're not sitting there going, oh my God, I don't know what to say. Mm-hmm. And the feedback is so what's important, because the person who you gave a reading to can be like, oh, that's so true, and this and happened, and when you said this, I don't know if I resonate with that, but you kind of build your confidence that way. And it's really important to find some people who are maybe not so close to you, because our family tends to be a little bit biased.
Absolutely.
And sometimes not so supportive of these types of things. Some of them are, but it's actually a whole lot harder to do this type of stuff for a family, because we have so much relationship with them and like kind of personal bias in the way. And then what can happen really easily is what I call you start talking up your ass. Because you can be starting to receive intuitive guidance, and then if it's someone you're close to and you kind of know a lot of their story, that kind of logical brain kicks in and you're like, oh, you should do this, this, and this. And now you're talking up your ass instead of talking through guidance.
Got it.
Yeah. So let's talk
through your Absolutely. I love it. I feel like a lot of people do that. So that's good to know, and recognize that somebody's doing it, so they can start to fix it and actually receive and work through the guidance that they receive.
Yeah. So practicing is really the key to kind of getting it going, and just keep telling your teams I want more, give me some more, come on, I want more, because the intuitive path really unfolds, and you get deeper and deeper the more you go and the more you trust. I can get better answers now than I could 6-7 years ago when I was first starting and really trusting. So
sure, absolutely, very fair. So basically, we want to start to practice on building our intuition skills so that we can use them in our businesses and in our lives, so that we can go in the direction that we are meant to go in, in the direction that we want to go in. So if you're looking to build your business and you're looking to get to a certain place, starting to build your intuition skills would be a really great way to go about that.
Definitely.
Absolutely. So do you have any other tidbits for us?
What can be really helpful is also if you get a friend who you can practice with, whom later, or if you don't have a friend to practice with, find an intuitive you resonate with, because everybody has different resonance with everybody. So I have a friend who I used a lot when we were practicing and getting our intuition open. So when I'm faced with a decision and I'm completely in my own way and just can't seem to access the guidance and get, because I'm too much in my own way, I really want something, but I've got stuff. Then I can call up my friend and be like, "Oh my God, can you help me out? Like, I need some help here because I can't do it on my own." So it's important to have that form of friendability.
Yeah, absolutely. So find somebody who is also trying to work on their skills and use them as help. Awesome. I love that. Super important. I actually have a very good friend myself who is probably watching this right now, who is that person for me. So
awesome.
Very much appreciated. Do you have any really great stories to share with us about maybe a time you followed your intuition and it really worked out for you, or anything like that? Otherwise, I have one too. So
one like that isn't quite coming up to mind, but what is coming up is I was driving my car one day and waiting at a light, and it was like not too much traffic, but I'm waiting there, and the light goes green, and I start to go forward, and then suddenly my foot is slamming on the brake. It's green light, and I have right of way. And me and the car next to us, we both slammed on the brakes, and this other car shroommed right in front of us, right through the red light. I didn't really do that. Yeah.
Oh, that's insane. I one of my friend's stepfathers, growing up, he never wore his seatbelt, but this one day he wore it, and it was a day that he had to slam on his brakes so hard and so fast that he would have gone through the windshield without his seatbelt. Wow. And he started wearing his seatbelt every day after that. And I know I talked about this earlier in my group. I don't know if you read the post or not, Amanda Lee. But it was about when I left my 9-to-5 job. And it was a time where I wasn't super financially secure in my business.
Yeah.
Did you? Yeah. Well, for anybody who didn't, I'm just going to give a quick synopsis of it. I was sitting at my desk one day and I couldn't get this thought out of my head that I needed to give a 5-week notice. Why 5 weeks? I didn't have a good reason. I just thought that was a good number, I guess. So I went in and I turned my 2 weeks notice in. My manager took it really well. And the next day I went into work as normal. I got called into his office and he said, "I can't believe I have to tell you this, but our corporate office has this really crazy policy where anybody who gives more than a 2 weeks notice needs to be let go immediately with 2 weeks pay, because somebody at some point gave a really long notice and then burned a bunch of bridges on the way out. So they made it a rule, and I was let go at that second." And it was terrifying and a huge shock, and I was not expecting it. I had planned for 5 weeks, and now I had 2 weeks pay, but was expecting 3 more weeks. And so it took me a while, but I realized that had to happen so that I could focus on my business and build it up to where it is today. So if I had followed my intuition, who knows where I would be today, and probably wouldn't be here. So
yeah, that's a big example of how they have the little bit of a higher perspective, like the New York City metaphor I used, right?
Yeah.
You could see this was the thing to do, and you trusted, and it worked. At the time, it's like, oh my God, what the hell? But it worked out very well for you.
Yeah. So even if it's scary and you don't want to do it, it is probably overall best for you to do it because they do have your best interests in mind.
Yep.
All right. Well, any last parting words?
That was the one thing I didn't prepare for. So no.
Oh, that's okay. That's okay. No problem. I just want to make sure there wasn't anything you wanted to add before.
Oh wait, there is one more thing I
wanted before we started signing off and getting to the end here.
The intuition is pretty much always going to tell you it's pretty much never going to tell you don't do this. It's going to say do this, because there's a lot of like voices in our head and stuff, and you want to pay attention to how you feel when you get the guidance. Because if your vibe isn't super high, if you're a little bit lower and you get some guidance, it might not be from the right source. Exactly. It might be from some more lower energies that are just hanging around. So if you get something, you can always ask, all right, so give me again, I want it in this sign, and see. Just pay attention to how you feel, because if you feel good about it, this is intuition. If you feel like, but what you're being kind of guided to do, double check and just make sure that you're in the high vibe space.
That's a really good point. So, but they don't ever really give like red flags or anything?
It depends on the person and their intuition and what you're kind of expecting, but generally they don't say don't do this. They say do this. You might get a gut feeling depending on how open and how you communicate, because everyone communicates in a different way. So you might, because when I quit my day job, they wanted me to come back in to the office. I was working from home, and inside it felt like death. Like, oh my God, I'm going to die if I do that. Yeah. Which was guidance for me to say, don't do that.
Yeah.
Right? But it wasn't in words of saying don't do that. It was a feeling in me of going, oh my God, I feel like I would die if I did that. So.
Oh, okay. Well, that's good to know. So be aware of the feelings that you feel while you're getting these intuition hints, and go from there.
And you can't get it wrong, so just keep asking.
Yeah. Absolutely. So where can we follow you to learn more about you?
My business is called Spark the Joy, but I recently discovered there's a book called Spark Joy, and if you search Spark the Joy, it's only the book you get. So you have to add my name on there, Amanda Lee. I have a Facebook page, Spark the Joy. It's my website, sparkthejoy.com, and I have a Facebook group called Spark Your Joy, Mindset and Energy Transformation, where I put out a weekly guidance thread, and we have lots of posts and things around shifting people's mindset, because that's what I'm really focused on right now. Is I love to help people get through their money stuff, because I can see the money patterns, and we can clear those, and then we can get the more kind of traditional mindset stuff going, of switching your beliefs and getting you installed with a success mindset. Because I really love to see intuitives and creatives and heart-centered entrepreneurs go get their big dream. You want to be a millionaire? Let's make that happen, right?
Oh, I love it. Yes, absolutely. I always say that money mindset is the absolute foundation of a business. So totally agree. I will post all of those links in the comments so that people can just easily click on them, and they can follow you and join your group, etc. And unless you have anything else to say, I think we're just about finished here.
No, that's it for me. Thank you so much. It was really fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for joining us. If anybody has any questions, I will stick around afterwards and answer them in the comments. I'm not seeing, I don't think I see any questions. So, and if there's anything that I can't answer, I will reach out to Amanda Lee, and we'll get that answered for you. So everybody have a wonderful day, and thank you for tuning in. Bye.